going on, everybody, and welcome to another edition of The Biz. I'm your host, Melly Mel, and today's guest is DJ Supreme. He's a DJ slash on-air personality slash program director. All right, he's done it all aspects of radio. We're here to talk with him. Let's get into it right now. So, Supreme, what's good with you, man?
Yo, Melly Mel, pleasure to be here. Welcome. What's good?
Nah, I appreciate it. I definitely appreciate the time. I definitely appreciate it. So let's get right into it. Obviously, I know a lot about, your background, but run down your resume for everybody watching. Like you've been in a lot of different markets. So why don't you break it down from the beginning till now?
All right. I'm originally from Baltimore, Maryland. I went to school in Delaware. My internship actually was at WERQ 92Q in Baltimore. So that was during my junior year or sophomore year of college. Then I got my first paid gig at WOCQ, OC 104, Lower Delaware. What's that? Georgetown, Seaford, a whole bunch of different places. That was like around 2004. So I was in Delaware, Maryland, Virginia, that area for a minute. Then I moved all the way to Texas to KQIZ.
Wow.
Then I was at what's the name of the station? I'm starting to forget call letters. WIKS. I was in Greenville, North Carolina for a minute. Then WBLK in Buffalo, and most recently WQBK HD2 in Albany, New York. So there's the official radio station rundown.
So initially, what made you want to get into DJing, radio, what made you want to get into it?
Well, my uncle is the DJ. He was on the radio in Baltimore at WEBB, like legendary historic Black radio station that was owned by a lady. I forget the lady's name, but they just did the documentary on her. She was like going against Kathy Hughes and Radio One at the time, but she decided to buy TV stations and go the TV route instead of keeping her radio stations that she owned. So I think she bought a TV station in Philadelphia, and that's why the radio station that my uncle was on went under or whatever like that. Then he actually, when they first launched 92Q in Baltimore, he was a member of that staff. So I've always had DJing in my close family and my inner circle due to my uncle and my cousin, DJ Scratch and DJ Daryl D. Shout out to them.
Right. So what keeps your passion, like after all these years, what keeps your passion still for DJing and stuff like that?
I mean, first and foremost, I love music. I think most people get drawn into being into radio, DJing, especially with hip hop being emerging. Around the time I was growing up, hip hop was still kind of new. It was something that just came out. It was a cool thing to do. Like instead of people joining the band or playing an instrument, a lot of people were starting to DJ or get involved with the elements of hip hop. So I would say that I love hip hop first and foremost, but then love for radio kind of came secondary. I've always wanted to be on the radio or do something involved in DJing ever since I was a little kid. Like I used to play and make little fake radio shows and stuff like that. Remember they had the mic with like the speaker on the bottom of the mic, like as a kid, and you would be able to record it. I used to have one of them, and I used to go hard with it. But the thing that keeps the passion is probably the love of music, and that's DJing has always been my first love, and I've been fortunate enough to build a career in doing something I really have loved since I was a small child.
Right. So how hard was the transition from DJ to air personality to program director? Was it hard, or is it something you even wanted to do? At first, you just wanted to be a DJ?
It's like a love-hate relationship with all of them, because I got into radio because I didn't like the songs that were playing on the radio. I wanted to play what I wanted to play on the radio. So that's why I even got into the radio to begin with. And then when I got into the radio and I kind of learned the politics of what a program director does or how the management structure of radio, that I always thought, no knock on my former program directors, but I always feel like I could do a better job, or I could enhance things and make things better. With being a program director, I realized that there's certain powers that be that are the reason why things are the way that they are. and it's not always, everything isn't always what meets the eye. So
very true.
that's what I say I've learned through the transition of each step of, being a jock, being a mixer, being a program director, being involved in the management structure of radio station, learning how the income comes in, how things are paid for, how things are done. It kind of took me all the way back to the first step of radio when I got involved in it. Like, yo, why can't I play what I want to play on the radio? Why are only these artists successful on the platform of radio? So it's been a great journey of learning why things work the way that they work.
So being in radio for so long, how do you think radio has changed from then till now?
Well, radio has changed from then to now, resource wise. People like radio, when I first got into radio, it was already kind of fading out, because you had people like I call it glory days of radio, was pre-1996, before a lot of corporations were able to come in and just buy up a whole bunch of radio stations and make it one type of way for everybody. So I would say things have changed, because when I was coming into radio, that was around like 99, 2000-ish. It was like radio was still the go-to to promote your music, where they were bringing the artists. Like, it was really a big deal to be on the radio, as far as music wise. Even artists, that was when you felt like you had made it, is if people were playing your songs on the radio. That was like the goal for everybody that period of time. And I mean, I was around through the introduction. I remember when they first, when I was at OCQ, like, people didn't even have email addresses. So I was on the younger end of that when, everybody my age around that time, because I was in high school when the internet really became a thing. And it wasn't really cool to be on the internet at that time. But I witnessed internet become, kind of take radio's spot of being the premier place where you feel like you've made it or you're important because you're a big deal on the radio. So it's kind of flip-flop with, new media and the internet, where that was just, all they're over there playing around. But now internet is probably the most important thing, probably more important than the actual radio frequency when it comes to radio programming and how things are presented. And also with that, radio, the way it used to be, radio had a lot of resources. Like, I remember we used to get free tickets to, like, I lived off of McDonald's.
Everything.
Yeah, like I lived off of McDonald's for absolutely free for years of my radio career, because it would always be somebody who was trying to do some kind of promotion, give something away with the radio station. So it was the big dog of getting everything. You had access to everything. And in the last couple of years, it seemed like a lot of that accessibility has diminished. I mean, radio is still important, but it's not as important as it was 30, 40 years ago when there weren't any other platforms for people to be on.
Yeah. So that's
the biggest change is.
Yeah. So that leads me to my next question. Like, how do you think radio survives through all this?
I mean, I think radio will always be around. It depends on what you call survival. Do I think radio will ever be the premier place for broadcasting audio? No, because the internet can broadcast audio. It can show you video. It can, you can be there instantly. You can feel it wherever you're at. No, but I think radio will always be like a natural resource, unless the government one day decides, let's do something else with these radio frequencies. I think it'll always be around because it's an easy means for people to make a lot of money still to this day, just by having a radio station. It still marks in people's mind that this is, official, whether you're on TV or the radio, because everyone has access to the internet. So I think that exclusivity of being a place where you can get broadcasts out and out for free without any extra technology will always have a place in society. Will it be the premier place in society? Nah, I don't think it's going to be like that anymore. It's kind of going to be like AM radio when FM first came out. It was like, all right, AM is still here, but we rocking with FM right now.
Yeah, I mean,
And I think everything comes in cycles.
I
So
think
it
you're
might
right.
be something else that's around that will innovate radio to make it more appealing because it's free. But being the premier place to, you know, exclusivity and everyone pouring resources into it, I don't think that's ever gonna happen again.
Yeah. I mean, remember back in the day when AM versus FM, they used to call AM the dinosaur. Now they call FM the dinosaur.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And AM started making a little resurgence too because people enjoy talk radio and you can podcast all day on AM and it doesn't really make a difference. And it's cheaper to get a signal that's AM. So that's a
Yeah.
whole nother conversation.
Yeah, very true. So in your opinion, how do you think an artist should prepare to be in the music industry? Like, how do you think they should prepare?
I mean, you have to know what you expect to get from the music industry and the level of success that you want to have in music industry. One person's success is not the same as another person's success. And at the end of the day, artist is all about artistry. So you should use your artistry to illustrate whatever it is you want to illustrate and allow the industry, whatever industry, your niche genre, or whatever you're trying to do, they'll come to you if you're putting out good artistry. So I think it all starts with artistry and the level of success that you want to have. Now, artistry also comes with money when you want to participate in an industry. So your expectations can only be as big as your budget when you're talking industry, not when you're talking artistry. I think a lot of people get it mixed up and confused because
Right.
in the music industry costs money, but you can also provide your artistry where you'll have people that will give you the money to participate in the industry. You just have to know what your goals as an artist are and who your fans are going to be, because not everybody's not going to be your fan. So, you know, that's what that's the biggest piece of advice. Focus on your artistry and find out who your fans are, and everything else will fall in line.
Yeah. So the $1 million question, do artists still need radio?
Yes, I say why artists do still need radio, because everybody doesn't know how to promote themselves, and that's the hard piece of the puzzle. So radio is like instant promotion. So yeah, if you don't know how to get on your social network and put your music out there, you don't know how to promote song after it's on Spotify. Radio is like instant gratification for those type of processes still today in 2021, because most people still discover new music on the radio, because most people are casual listeners. Most people aren't going out and seeking new music. They just want to be part of whatever the crowd is listening to, or whatever, you know, today's popping artist is, and whatever circle they're at. So it's, you know, it's psychology behind the whole thing, but I think that people have been embedded to think that when your song is on the radio, it's popular.
Yeah, you made it.
Yeah, so I don't see that dying anytime soon, and I don't see the internet having a way, because anybody can put their music on Spotify, anybody can put their music on Apple, anybody can put their music on Tidal if you know what you're doing. So there's no way to kind of filter through millions and millions of music to get specific like the radio still does in 2021.
So what's that? This is a tricky question, right? What's that one or maybe two or maybe even three stories that you like telling in the music industry? What's that one story you always say, let me tell you this story about this happened or that happened? Is there?
Man, I had a lot of crazy stuff happen to me, because like when
you're allowed to tell, I should say that you're.
I mean, I can tell all mine. I didn't get arrested, so you know, it's been a lot of stuff that's happened, but one in particular, I can remember when I was interviewing Waka Flocka. This is when I like used to try to be a shock jock anyway, but I would know, I've always known who to play with and who not to play with. So I wasn't really in there playing with Waka Flocka because I knew the people that Waka Flocka ran with and where he came from. So I would always try to ask different questions of artists to, you know, get to know them differently than yo, what's your favorite song on the album? What was it like working with Jay-Z? Would you like dumb questions like that? I've never been that type of interviewer. So we would come and chop it up about other stuff. Being that Waka Flocka had just came off of 106 in Park, where they had asked him, does he like to vote? And he like, you can go, I think it's probably still up on YouTube. He basically played himself like, oh yeah, you know, voting's good. Yeah, get out there and vote. Like, just, you know, he gave a cliche answer, but he sounded like he everyone knew he didn't know what he was talking about. So he had I think my interview was like a day or two after that had aired. And I had asked him about, you know, what's the type of food that you eat that people wouldn't, or like, what's your hobby that, you know, people wouldn't expect to, he was like, I like to collect French fries. Like, trying to be funny, but I'm like, yo, I'm really not trying to play you, my guy. I'm asking you to, so what I had to do, like in the middle of the interview, like this is like Southside is there, it's a whole bunch of goons from Atlanta, like we all in this little small ass room in North Carolina.
Yeah.
And I forget who it was, but somebody had just got their ass whipped by I want to say the game. Oh, it was Zulu the Big Lip Bandit got beat up by the game. Like, and that's all I had was flashbacks in my mind. Like, yo, if I say something smart to this dude, I'm gonna get my ass whipped in this studio. And there's nobody in this studio to stop this ass whipping from commencing. So what I did, I had to take the righteous moment. I'm like, brother, look, man, I'm not trying to put you in any type of situation that's gonna harm or hurt your career. I've got nothing but love for you, brother. Let's cut out all this animosity and this going back and forth, and let's come to peace and let's do a good interview, because I'm not trying to get my ass whipped in here.
You talked them down.
Basically, I talked them off of this fence or whatever, because yo, it was about like you could smell the tension in the air at that point in time. And I'm in the studio by myself, like it's no one there to help me. So one lesson I learned that day was always have your goons in the studio with you when you're talking to other people that's gonna have their goons with you. But I got 1,000,001 crazy stories like that, like just from having interactions with people, and especially when I would, you know, try to push the envelope earlier in my career.
Right.
But nowadays, like I just stopped being a program director. I resigned like a month ago from being a program director. I think more towards the end, I was a lot less, you know, going out there trying to have those moments, because I was just more seasoned, and I know people don't know that sometimes you're playing or it's a game, and people are real personal about their image now. So that's another thing that's changed from radio being a resource that it was, like, because you can't even have those type of moments because everyone's expecting those type of moments. And the only people that are acceptable to say things like that nowadays are Charlemagne, Ebro, and a couple others. If it's coming from anyone else, you're going to be blackballed, and they're not bringing people back up there to rock with you at all. So you don't really have those moments like that, because everybody's looking for those moments. Every podcaster, those moments have become the norm, and it's only acceptable to get it from certain people because they're going to take offense if it's from someone else. So
right.
Yeah.
So you just wanted to take a break from everything for a second and figure out your next move. Is that what happened?
That, and I'm actually a single father, so I have both of my sons right now. So I just wanted to focus on my sons going to school, and my oldest son is about to graduate. So I'm still DJing. I just took a break from the radio side of things.
Yeah. So, we all need breaks sometime, man. We all need
absolutely
breaks.
Man. I appreciate you.
I appreciate your time, Supreme, man. I appreciate it. I appreciate your time.